Hi folks, I'm John with InspectorPrime. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to set up and manage your initial automations. These automations that you initially set up are going to come preloaded with your InspectorPrime Office system. And they're keyed to manage your jobs, your services, and your agent and client communications. You'll see that because our system is built on Airtable, that we offer the most advanced automation system in the industry. Let's begin with an overview of InspectorPrime's underlying automation system provided by Airtable. There's a lot to cover in this tutorial. As a matter of fact, InspectorPrime Office as we ship it now ships with no less than 44 separate automations that are pre-built for you and that help run your system, from your public and internal booking forms to your job and service management to sending job and service results and requesting feedback from clients and agents. But before we dive in too deep to these individual sections as we see them and their individual automations, I want to cover just what it looks like and how it operates within InspectorPrime. Again, because we've built our system on top of Airtable, we sport one of the most advanced automation systems in existence today. Now, with that said, Airtable's automation systems is very intuitive. That doesn't mean they're no less complicated, but it is intuitive. Once you set up a few, you'll be able to set up any automations you wish. Now, we have an automations library on our website, and it essentially mimics the profiles of the automations that come preloaded with InspectorPrime. To create additional automations, you will simply go to the Create New button here, click it, and you can create either a new section, as you see here, which is a simple divider for your automations. You can browse a catalog provided by Airtable and Airtable's native AI system built into InspectorPrime that suggests automations for your system. So you can select from pre-developed automations, and you can also use Airtable's Omni AI system to develop automations for you. Now, when you hit that Create New Automation, it'll load down here in the More section. Here you can rename it, duplicate it, delete it. Now, let's cover duplication real quick. If you create an automation that serves a specific purpose, and you say to yourself, you know, I could use a similar automation for this other purpose, then don't start from scratch. Go ahead and duplicate one that's already made and modify that automation to fit your needs. That'll save you a lot of time and make automation creation much more efficient and trouble-free. Now, we've got a blank automation here. It comes pre-labeled as Automation 1. And we see that we have a trigger section. We select that, and we can select from many, many choices and many integrations. We can also apply specific triggers and filters within these. We won't cover that just yet. I want to kind of cover an overview of what this looks like. Let's go ahead and delete this automation because we don't need it. Now, I see our first automation for the public booking form section is client auto email, service request received, public form. We can see the layout here, which we'll go into very, very granular detail on. Our trigger is that when a form is submitted, these actions occur. And we've got these automations set up to manage both non-commercial or residential bookings, and commercial bookings. You'll also see that the trigger menu pops up over here, allowing you to choose the source, table, form for that trigger. And you can also test every step within these automations by choosing a pre-existing record. And you can see the results of that test right here. Step successful. The step was run a few seconds ago. Here's how it was run. Here's a record that was selected. You can get a link to the record, and you have the values or the field values that were found and the base record URL itself. Then you can click into your actions and define your actions. You can add helper text as you wish, add labels, and edit your conditions, and so on and so forth. Again, it's very intuitive. You can also view a history of your automation, both a run history and a revision history. So if you revise it, you can see when it was revised, who revised it, and what that revision looks like in terms of its setup. You can also view the run history. We run this many times, and we've purposely set it up so that one failed. We can view why it failed, and we can rectify that, and we can rerun it when a problem is fixed. You can also get notified when an automation fails, so you can fix that situation. It is very rare. In this case, we misspelled our client's email. That's an easy fix. Go in there, get the correct one, or contact the client to make sure that you've got the correct email. Set it back in there, hit rerun, and it'll send that automation again. You can also test an automation live. If you select a record, you can run the automation, and it will run the automation live, meaning that it'll send the emails that you've set up here to the client within this record. And of course, what you want to do is you want to create a test record with your own email in it, so it sends the email to you and not an actual client. Again, it's very intuitive. And this is just a quick overview to show you some of the basics of it, so we don't have to cover it in each other section of this tutorial. One other mention for the AI system built in is that this button here is the Omni AI Assistant button. And I can go in here at any time, and I can ask it to build me automations. And it'll create at least a viable starting point, depending on how complicated the automation is you want to create. And from there, you modify it, you massage it, and you launch the automation. It makes it very intuitive and quick. That covers the overview of the automation system in general. In future sections of the tutorial, as you'll see, we will move on from each section. We'll set up our public booking form automations first, which will be followed by the remaining sections you see here. We begin our initial automation setup with the public booking form section. More specifically, our client auto email service request received public form automation. It's a mouthful, but we really want to describe what each automation does for you. To get a description of each automation, go to that menu and hit Edit Description. You can see this automation sends the client an initial email confirming that you have received their service request. Simple as that. And of course, you can edit that to fit your company's desired terminology. Now, we've labeled this automation also Update on Setup, and we'll see why in a second. You'll need to update your company contact information for these forms. Now, let's dive straight into this automation. We see here the trigger is when a form is submitted. That is called the trigger type. We select it from here when a form is submitted. Our configuration. This form is fed with data from the job management table. The form is our public booking form, and we've labeled it website embed because you can embed it in your website if you like. You can also just have a simple link to it. We can test every step along the way. Choose our record that's already in there. Make sure these are sample records you tested on, and we can see the results are successful. So we know that step is set up. Then, once this trigger is enacted, we have our actions that are carried out. Well, when a form is submitted, what do we want it to do? What do we want that booking to do? We want it to send an email. But first we want to filter it. InspectorPrime Office is capable of handling commercial and residential bookings. We handle commercial bookings separately and differently from residential bookings. You'll see that in future tutorials. For this automation, what you need to know is that we have a condition here that if the property type entered in the booking form is not a commercial property type, then this email is sent. And of course, we can set up emails on this within this menu. Again, the action we want is to send an email. There are many actions to choose from. We set a simple description for this action. Again, the action will run if the property type is not commercial. And then we put our to field in here. And the field we want to send an email to is the client email online form field. You can select that here. Hit the add button, search for that field, select it, and it'll populate right here. If you show more options, the CC, BCC fields will come up, and you can add, as you wish, additional fields to send this email to the CC and BCC email addresses as well. The from name, you need to update this when you get your system to your company's name. The reply to email address is the email you want the client replying to, which is going to be your company email. In reply to, again, is going to be your company email. And you want the value for both of those, which means just grabbing your email address. In the subject, we've put service request received, simply indicating to the client that we have received their service request. Now in here, we get to write the message that this email will send to the client. Hi, client first name value, or hi, client's first name online form value, comma, thank you for your service request, and so on and so forth, inputting these variables from your system where you want them to show up in the email by simply hitting this add button. You'll see this throughout, and these are already preloaded. You simply modify or change these to fit your company. More text. More text. You can display their chosen services, and you can have a sign out here. So best regards, and then again we're updating this initial automation because you need to add your company contact information here for this automation. You'll see some unique text. For example, these asterisks, the break lines here. And to get a better feel for what those do, simply open up this helper article right here, and it'll show you how to format these emails for easy reading. Now I can generate a preview of this email, so I can see exactly what my client will see when he receives this. Generate a preview. There it is. Here's a preview email. I'm previewing as the client itself. We can see it's from the Airtable automation system. You can change this so these emails are sent from your Gmail account or your Outlook account. Who it's sent to, who the client replies to, the sender itself, you just put your company name there, the subject, of course we put the subject in there as well, and we can see Thank you for your service request for the property. And you can format this however you like. Chosen services. And there you are. Your contact information will show up there. We see a little bit of an issue with this, so we can correct that. And this is why we have this preview email system set up. It shows the client's first name twice. We don't want that showing up twice. What we want is to only have the client's first name from the online form showing up. So we can delete that. Let's see what happens when we delete that. First, we're going to update it because we have unpublished changes. So let's update that. Now we're going to generate a preview. There we go. And that's why you use the preview email system to check that your automations or your emails that you want to send out are formatted properly before even turning on the automation itself. Now, again, you can see that the results of our test were successful, so we can move on to the next step. The next step is fairly simple. This is simply the email you want to send out for commercial clients. They've indicated they're a commercial client by selecting the property type as commercial in their booking form. And we simply set up an email that's tailored for commercial clients at this point. And we can see when we generate a preview, we still have the same error here. So remember, test each step. Let's go ahead and remove that and make that simple fix. Generate a preview, and there we go. We do have a bit of an error here with a space between the name and the comma. Again, that's an easy fix. Format that properly, generate another preview, and there you go. Oh. One more appears. One more. There you go. That's it. Just that simple. And again, you customize this based on your company's workflow. Again, we see that we have made changes to our automation. So what do we want to do next? It says you have unpublished changes that haven't been applied to the live automation. Click the update button to apply them. Simple. We want to keep the changes we made. We hit the update button. This automation from now on will send in the updated format. And we can see here in our history, revision history, that we just changed that. Okay. All right, that is it for the first automation. Let's move on to the auto create linked client public form. When a client fills out your public form, this automation simply creates a new client record in your CRM. So again, when that form is submitted, the action we take is for the system to create a new record. Write your description here. We have the table set up because it comes from the client CRM, and all these fields from the online form will then populate your client CRM with a new client record and link that new client record to the job that was just created. Okay? That is all. Use these. I won't cover these in detail one by one. It'll be an extremely long tutorial if we do that. But use these as examples of what you can do within your system. All right. Auto create linked clients agent public form. Again, when that public form is submitted and then a client's agent is included in that, then it will create a new client's agent within your agent CRM table. And it'll link that client's agent to that specific job. And again, just follow the configuration we have here and the action details. Take a look at the fields that back it up. And we see here that we select the Airtable record ID from the form that was submitted. And that is where it grabs the data and connects it all within your system. And we do the same here with the auto create linked additional agent public form automation. If an additional agent is included by the person who submitted the public form booking, then that additional agent record will be created within the system. All right? It's really as simple as that. So again, get familiar with these automations. Generate previews based on test records you've created in your system, and you can alter and modify and change and make these automations work for your company. But these are basic automations that really form the foundational functions of the InspectorPrime office system when it comes to the public booking form. Next, we'll cover the internal booking form, which you'll see is very similar to what we just went over, so it'll be a short one. Okay, so here we are at the internal booking form automation section. These largely reflect the same triggers and actions that were reflected in your public booking form automation section we just went over. The slight changes to be made here are that the form used for the automation is the internal booking form, not the public booking form. In addition, we do not have to edit the automation to reflect your company contact info because we've already put it in there for you. And this is derived from your company profile you initially set up when you launched your InspectorPrime office system. We can see that we still have the same split between non-commercial and commercial properties. That remains the same as well. The rest of these are largely intact from our public booking form automations. Again, it's just that the form that's informing these automations is the internal booking form. Now we'll move on to the job management automations. Now we're getting into the more detailed automations that come preloaded with your InspectorPrime office system. Let's dive into the job management automations. And for each of these, we'll give a quick overview. And if there's anything that special to mention, we'll mention it. But we don't want to take too long on these, otherwise this tutorial will last a few hours. And again, these come preloaded, so you'll be able to see all these automations and edit them to fit your needs. The first automation we see here is an auto send reminder email to client and client's agent. Of course, when this record, when the job record itself matches these specific conditions, which is for us when the job start time is 2 days from now, it'll send the client and client's agent an email saying, hey, here's a reminder of your upcoming services, and here's the details for you. Okay, simple as that. Go ahead and sign the agreement. Go ahead and follow these payment instructions. It'll also update the job tags field to tell you that the auto reminder was sent to the client, and in turn you know it was sent to the client's agent as well. Moving on to the send a quote to your client button. Just as the automation name indicates, when you click the send quote to client button, you email a quote to your client. And you can give them instructions saying, hey, if you like this quote, go ahead and all you got to do to confirm it is review and sign the agreement and make a payment. Doing that confirms the job and will show up at the appointed time and place of duty. This also updates your job tags to tell you that the quote was sent to the client. Moving on to the confirm a job / send details to client button. Now you get a new booking from your forms, your public booking form, and you get to then select this button, either confirm job with client or the button that says send job details to client, and it will send the details, of course, to your client. You'll see right here the email you can set up, and it says, hey, go ahead, sign the agreement, make a payment. That confirms the job, or will show up when you do that. And again, you can edit and manage these emails to say what you want them to say. As simple as that. Then, once it's confirmed, the job status becomes confirmed and the job tags are automatically updated to job confirmation email sent to client. Moving on to email job details to assigned employee vendor button. When you click the button send job details to employee vendor, the employee or vendor assigned to that job will get the email letting them know of the new assignment and the pertinent details for that assignment, including content information for those folks that are involved in that job. Moving on to the auto-update job status to in progress using time slot start date time. Okay, quite frankly, whenever a job comes up and it meets this condition, if it's today, then, and the job status is confirmed, in fact, the job status will be updated to in progress automatically because the system is going to assume that you're going to the job that you confirmed already, and it simply reduces manual entry. Now, auto-update booked time slots to used status. Quite frankly, this is a simple one. When a time slot status is unused and the public checkbox is marked because it is public, then it will automatically be updated to used and it will be unchecked as not public whenever a job is linked to it. So what happens is when your client or agent uses your public booking form and chooses a time slot for that job, this automation makes sure that the time slot is marked as used and that it's no longer available in your booking form. The auto-update booked time slots to unused status is useful when the job management or the job field is empty. It's not linked to a job anymore. So if a time slot has been marked as used but is no longer tied to a job, the system will automatically mark it as unused again. And what you do from there is up to you. You can mark it as public again, or you can keep it as not public. It depends on when that job was unlinked from that time slot. To cancel a job with a simple click of a button, use the Cancel This Job button. It'll send an email to your client, your client's agent, and your employee or vendor assigned to the job, letting them know what happens next and what services were canceled. Go ahead then and update the record automatically using this automation, and you can see all the fields related to the job that we need to track, the status, the tags, the agreements, the payments, they're all marked canceled. We also cancel automatically every service related to that job with this automation. Reduces a lot of manual entry and sends those confirmation or cancellation emails rather automatically to your folks. The update time slot on job cancellation automation simply takes a canceled job and then marks the time slot as unused because it's no longer being used, and it tells you, hey, the reason this time slot's unused is because it's canceled. So if you cancel a job, you don't have to go back to your time slots and update them. This automation takes care of that for you. The Send Supporting Documents to Your Client button is really quite simple. When you hit that button, it'll send an email with the supporting documents you've uploaded to this particular field here. And you do that by going to the attachments part of the email formatter and adding this field. Okay, and it'll take any documents, any media attached to this, and it'll send it in your email for you. The auto link your company on job creation. It's marked as essential. This is a basic functional automation you must have. This automatically links your company profile that you set up when you first set up InspectorPrime Office and links it to every job. More importantly, you shouldn't edit this automation and you should always keep it on. This is the record ID tied specifically to your company. If you ever have a problem with the automation, simply refer to this, refer to your revision history for the automation, and grab it from there if you need to reset it. But quite frankly, you'll touch it once, you'll turn it on, and that'll be it. That covers the job management automations. Next, we'll cover the service management automations. Okay, so now we've got 12 service management automations to run through. These will be a little bit faster because it follows the same or similar formatting as the other automations we've already seen. Now, the email service details to assigned employee automation, when you click a button, the send details to employee button, you'll send an email to the assigned employee for that specific service. And we set this up to show a lot of the details. So either that employee or vendor knows exactly what's going on, what they need to do, perhaps what equipment is assigned as well, and who to contact if they need to reach out to the parties involved. And I realize I'm kind of blowing through these pretty quickly. Again, this tutorial would be several hours long if I needed to set up these bit by bit. But I don't need to do that because we have an automations library on our website that has profiles for every automation you see here already set up. So you find yourself stuck on an automation, simply go to the automations library, review that record, and try to copy what you see there so that you can set up your automations. And of course, reach out to us if you ever need help. Moving on to the email service request to assign vendor automation. Again, when a button is clicked, in this case, send request to vendor, you are specifically sending an email to the vendor for that specific service. And we see here they get a little bit different information. All right. So if you have a third-party contractor or a vendor performing a job, they can get all the details they need for that specific service. And they can get the client and the agent information along with that to the click of a button. Now, we're moving on now to automations that automatically create service records for a job when the jobs are booked using either the internal or the public-facing booking forms. What we see here is we have service fee automation set up for weekend premiums. So if the time slot falls on a weekend, it'll automatically create a service fee for this within your job record. Same for the holiday premium. Same for discounts. If the client or agent enters a discount code, it'll automatically create that service and apply that discount to the job record. And property age, and zip code fee, and square footage fees, and foundation type fees. And these three right here, some of the most important automations in this system. Whenever your client or agent or your employee creates a booking and selects their primary services or additional services or standalone services for the particular job they're booking, these automations will automatically create service records for all of those requested services. Let's run through a few of these and we'll get the idea. Let's begin with the weekend premium auto create service fee automation. So we can see here when a record is created, so when the job management record is created, and remember we primarily create job records through our public and internal booking forms. We really shouldn't be creating a job record through our data side at all. So this automation will trigger when a job record is created, and what it will do is if it finds a time slot type value that contains weekend in it, it'll find the service records that apply, and it'll apply that weekend premium service fee to the job. It'll create that service record for it, and it'll automatically enter in its listed base price, and it'll automatically update that service record to be a fee, because that's what this is. This is a fee. All right. The same goes for a holiday premium automation. Again, when the record is created, if our time slot record is marked yes for the holiday field, then it will find the service, holiday premium, and create that service record and attach it to the job that was just booked. Again, with that base price in there. And that'll mark that as a fee as well. Discounts are a bit different. For every discount you offer, you're going to create its own conditional based automation section here, or condition section here. What we can see, again, it's triggered when we create a record. And if the discount code for this example is VET100, it'll find the record in your company services menu. We see we enter it as VET100, and it'll go ahead and create that service record, attach it to the job, again with that base price, and for this, in this case, it's a discount of negative $100, and it will update the service tag to display it as a discount. And we have to update each discount code in its own individual conditional statement here, because that's how it creates the fees. And all we have to do that is copy this one here and have it applied to the specific discount code you're creating it for. Okay? Then we simply input that discount code name right here to meet that conditional statement. We can see the same thing for Agent 50. The condition is if the discount code is Agent 50, find that record where the service is Agent 50 in your service menu items, and create the service and attach it to the job. And of course, update that service tag to discount. Moving on, we have property age, and this is a similar format to your discount fees. You're likely to have different conditions based on the age of the properties you inspect. So again, when the record is created, and based on these conditions, if the age of the property is greater than 75 years, or equal to or greater than 75 years, or if the property is greater than or equal to 50 and less than or equal to 74, then it'll automatically create the service fees for that, along with their base prices automatically, so you don't have to add those records for that specific job. The key here is to get your configurations correct. Remember, we have to name the conditions where the service is. We have to name it what our service menu item is called. In this case, it's called property age 75 plus. In this case, it's called property age 50 to 74. In this case, it's property age 25 to 49, and so on and so forth. So you'll create and you'll modify these based on your company's policies. If it doesn't apply, simply delete these conditions. If it doesn't apply at all, if you don't charge property age fees, simply turn this off and you don't need to use it. Moving on to zip code fees. For our sample inspection company, they have zip code fees for 2 zip codes, 80831, 80916. So this is how you very simply, within one automation, charge service fees for specific zip codes. Again, the condition is that the zip code is 80831. Then it will find the zip code fee service menu item for that zip code. It'll create the service record in the job, and it'll automatically apply the base price for that service. And of course, it will link it to that job, and it'll tag it as a fee. And for every zip code you have, you'll simply duplicate this and modify it in its own appropriate conditional statement down here. It's as simple as that. And likewise, if you don't charge zip code fees or service area fees, then simply turn this off. You don't need it. Square footage. Many companies charge square footage fees. This is the automation that allows you to quickly attach a square footage fee to a job. I do want to point out that your agents, your clients, they'll never see these fees in any email automations or anything like that in their records that they can view. These are all hidden because you don't obviously show any service fees to your clients and agents. So you just include it in the total quoted price or gross revenue. So for this automation, it's very similar to the other ones, so I won't spend too much time on it. Again, when a job record is created through your booking forms, it looks for these conditions, and if the job matches these conditions, then it will automatically select the appropriate service menu item from your service menu that you've created, and it'll apply that service fee automatically to your booked job. And again, the key is to get these conditions right. We set it up for you, so all you have to do is slightly modify these to fit the range of square footage you use for your company fees. Moving on, of course, you can create a service fee automation for the foundation type. In this case, we have service fees for crawl spaces and basements. And again, it's quite simple. If the client indicates or the agent indicates that the foundation type is crawl space or a basement in the booking forms, then these service fees will be automatically applied. And they'll be tagged as service fees. Now we're getting down into primary, additional, and standalone services. These are all very similar, so we'll just cover primary service records. This, again, automatically selects those primary service records from your company service menu item, attaches them to your job by creating service records automatically when a job is created. Now, we have here that we're going to repeat for each item in the primary services field. So if your client selects many primary services, this automation scans for every time an item is selected and creates in that job record a new service menu item for every service selected. It's a simple one automation, one conditional area to create all the service records from your primary services selected during the booking process. As simple as that. And of course, it'll automatically grab that base price and link it to the job. These do the same thing, just with the additional services or standalone services. That's it for the service management automations. Again, these are fundamental to the functioning of your InspectorPrime Office system as we ship it to you. As you get more experience, as you understand the system and how it's structured, you can then create your own workflows, create your own automations, and really make it match your company's needs. For the next section of this tutorial, we'll cover the send job results, service results, and request feedback all in one quick overview. Okay, so we're going to cover these last three sections fairly quickly, but they relate to how to send job results, send service results, and request feedback using specific automations, buttons within your job management interface. So if we open up send results to your client using the send results to all trigger, as well as the send results to the client's agent, send results to all trigger, and the send results to additional emails automation, which is also a send results to all trigger, we're going to find that these three automations are linked to a single button within our job management interface. And what it does is that a single click of a button will send the job results to all of these parties using these three separate automations. And of course, each of these parties doesn't receive the same email, so we've created three separate automations for them to do that. Let's take a quick look. When the job status is completed and the send results trigger is checked, and again, it gets checked using a button in our job management interface, this email will send to the client. You can see here, this is a placeholder for the client portal. Ordinarily, every job in your system will have a link to the client portal, which is the portal they use to log into their own Airtable account, free account, and view their inspection results using InspectorPrime Residential or InspectorPrime Commercial. And of course, you can customize this email to say whatever you like. Once that email is sent and this automation is run, it will update another field in our system that gives us a visual cue that the automation has run and the result was sent to the client. This same thing happens for these next two automations as well. An email is sent to the client's agent. They get a link to the portal. And of course, this only happens if the client has chosen to share the results with the client. The client's agent. Now, we also see here that the checkbox right here, results sent to client's agent, is updated to a checked field. Again, it's a visual cue letting you know your automations have successfully been fired. And finally, if the client has elected to provide additional emails they would like the results sent to, this automation sends emails to those additional parties. And again, the job is updated so that the results sent to additional emails checkbox is checked. Now, what if we don't want to send the email to all parties? Or let's say in the future, a client requests the email again. Well, we set up separate automations to where you can click a button that only sends results to the client, or that only sends the results to the client's agent, or only sends results to the additional emails. So we've got a lot of flexibility in how we set up our workflows and our automations. But the most important aspect of our initial system we set up for you is that instead of firing based on triggers that are simply record-based, we've set up automations so that you have to push a button or select a checkbox to run them. This gives you a lot of control for individual jobs. And of course, if you don't like that workflow, if you want to manage or edit that workflow to fit your company's needs, you can do that. So we'll take a look at these buttons real quick. We won't go over these two simply because they're the same, except they send emails to the client's agent or the additional emails, respectively. So when we do this send results to your client-only button automation, again, we have a button in your job management interface that says, hey, send the results to the client if the job status is completed and the job's tags is exactly results ready. So you must have the job record updated to reflect that, one, the job has been completed, and two, that the results are ready to be sent to your client or your client's agent or the additional emails. Without these two conditions, you won't be able to push that button. And that's just a safety check. You don't want to accidentally send results when they're not ready. All right? So we see the email that gets sent here. And again, it looks very similar to the previous email we sent in the send results to your client email. And the job record gets updated so that the job tags indicates the results have been delivered to the client. All right? That's it for the send job results section. Let's move on to the send service results section. And this is fairly simple. These job results, this is all done with the job management interface. Service results, we've built in a method to send the results for individual services if needed to your client and your client's agents. So if you could open up a service record, a service that's connected to a job, you could actually upload files and media and other results to a specific service, and then go in here. Using this automation, you click the button in that service management record, and you just click Send Service Results to Client. And of course, now they have very specific service results sent to them. For example, let's say you have an inspection or a job where you do a sewer scope inspection and it's a day after the primary inspection for whatever reason, well, you don't want to hold it up, so you send the primary results, and you tell them, hey, listen, no, I'll get you the results of the sewer scope inspection separately. You can open up that sewer scope inspection service record, hit that button, and they'll get an email saying, hey, we've completed this service. Go ahead and access those results in your client portal. You could, of course, make it so that an attachment is uploaded. So if you have media or files, sewer scope inspection results in the service files media attachment, it'll upload here and be sent to your client. And of course, now the service tags will be updated to service results sent to client for that particular service. And the same goes for sending results to the client's agent for specific services. So we won't cover that in any detail. That covers the send service results. It's simply another way to, at a granular level, run automations and send very specific service results to these respective parties. Finally, that brings us to the request feedback automations. Now, these automations, again, are buttons. So whenever you're ready to request feedback from them, you just select these buttons. You can request feedback from your client, from the client's agent, from the additional agent involved in the inspection, if you like, and at the click of a button. Again, if you don't want to have to click a button, you can alter these to say, hey, when the job is marked complete, 2 days later, go ahead and send a feedback request. You can modify and change these however you like, whatever fits your workflow. Well, let's go over these. Send a feedback request to your client. Again, it's a button. You simply hit the button called Request Feedback from Client within the job management interface, and an email gets sent to them. Very simple. And this will automatically grab the link in your company profile, most likely your Google Business Profile review link. They can get to that and leave you a review. It's as simple as that. All of these are the same. They're just different buttons that go to different parties involved. Now that wraps up our introduction to how to set up and manage and use the initial automations in your system. When we deliver this system to you, many of these are already turned on. Several are turned off because you'll need to go through and update them to fit your company services that you provide and your company profile. But you'll find that using this tutorial, getting hands-on with the automation system that's very intuitive and AI enabled, and using our automations library, you'll be up and running in no time in learning our system and creating your own automations to fit your company's workflow.